Hello everyone, this is Ron from High Tech Legion. As you can tell from the smile on my face, I'm very excited because it's time for new technology once again, and because it's Computex time. Well, Intel has announced their Haswell line of processors, and with it, new mainboards. Of course, the new ALC1150 socket requires the new mainboards such as this one from MSI. This is the MSI Z87 MPOWER MAX mainboard, and very interesting packaging there. Let me just open it for you so you have a preview what it looks like. If you haven't gathered by the name already, it is a high-end motherboard. I believe they have another one that's more high-end, is the X Power, but this one is definitely something to check out. It's a new. I don't know if MSI has released a line before with this kind of packaging, but although it does look similar to their Lightning series. And as far as I know, they're probably taking cues from that and sort of streamlining their product line to target the enthusiasts and overclockers with the yellow color theme products. There's this one, and this is of course going to be outfitted with their military class 4 technology and outfitted with, of course, high-end components to be able to withstand all the hardcore overclocking. So let's open up the box and see what this mainboard looks like. Also, and check out what you can find inside and how all it performs. The MPOWER MAX comes in this very distinct packaging. And there is a window showing you a preview of the board itself and some of the features. And inside you get two compartments separating the main unit itself and the accessory right at the bottom. So let's pull that out and pull out the main board here just to show you a quick preview. And I'm going to put that aside while we take a look at the accessories first. And then we'll go into detail on what features are available on the MSI MPOWER MAX mainboard. And clearly tell that the accessory pack here is quite packed with features and accessories, including starting with the quick installation guide here. Sort of a general quick installation guide. Most users, just for those who have no experience or very little experience with assembling computers, that will come in handy. Inside you get a plethora of Sata cables. You have, see here, these are all angled, and they're slightly different from the usual white MSI cables here. This essentially is sort of a pan-colored in each pack you get a pair of Sata cables, and they're angled and latched. So 2, 4, 6, and I think that's it. Let me just put it this way so you can see angled better. 6 SATA cables, which they provide 8 SATA ports on the board itself, so that's almost all of it. This are the antenna you see here with the installation guide for, of course, the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi module you see here. This is an Intel Centrino 2230 module right inside, and it attaches, it's an optional attachment to your mainboard right there, and this is the end where you connect the antenna. See there, the special MSI housing here, and you get an MSI Gaming Series badge, which I didn't expect to see this one inside this pack. Or although I do have the I do have a reviewer's package here, so it might. I can't guarantee that all or this will be on the retail package, but if it's in here, it might be. You have the Wi-Fi BT module installation guide with the screw that is used to completely secure that module on your main board. You get these are the V checkpoints. I will show you later what these are for. In the mainboard, actually there are points where you can attach these probes. It's essentially extender probes, so that you can connect your multimeter to them when you are running extreme overclocks. If you see there, there's a picture of a multimeter. It's much more convenient. Instead of moving your entire probe, you can just attach these to each individual ones to extend the range of it by a few inches, which is very convenient And you also have the I/O shield here, which is labeled at the back, and it's a black and yellow color theme. Continue with it. And, let's see here, badge, and you get the software and application user's guide. This is an all-English guide. It's completely separate from the manual. This is essentially for all the software bundled, including the Command Center, the Sound Blaster Cinema, and the X-Fi MB3, and Live Update, Network Genie, Virtual MVP, and the Killer Network Manager. Plenty of stuff there, and also this one, very funny attachment here for the Extreme LN2 users out there, attached to your room. And let's look at some accessories here. One more compartment. You have an SLI cable for dual SLI. Of course, this is for triple slot spaced video cards. Fits perfectly with the MSI MPOWER MAX mainboard. You have this is essentially a powered eSATA connector. See there? You attach the power in the rear, and also the power there as well. Actually, no, it's a power output at the outside, and then two eSATA connectors on each side. Connects your PCI bracket. Also comes with a latching eSATA cable, and these are essentially power converters for a Molex to a SATA connector that attaches to the rear. Very cool. And last one here, last bracket, is a USB 3 bracket. Let's see if I can open this one. Tape. And let's see here. Packaging seems to be a lot different compared to the other ones. Again, like I said, this is a reviewer sample, so it might be different. See the MSI logo there, USB 3.0 header. And it's a 19-pin, connects to your mainboard. And more manual here. We have the user's guide. It is an all-English user's guide, so it's quite detailed because the MPOWER MAX is a very feature-rich motherboard. Starts with the basics and, of course, ends with the troubleshooting here and how to use the UEFI and all the advanced features. And let's move things aside. It looks like there is still one more underneath here. Extra compartments. You have appears to be the military class certification that it did indeed get those quality. It got that high quality build. You have the high C caps, the super fair chokes, and the dark caps. And it shows you the list of all the military class testing that it has passed. And some more promotional materials here. There's a mini fold-out poster, actually. And also a mini poster on this end. But on the other end, it's essentially a quick visual guide. Just very handy. Also, I would actually prefer to put this as a poster. It comes in handy. If you see there, it's a multilingual guide showing you what every feature is and where it is located. And of course, the two discs here, two DVDs. That means, as I mentioned, it's pretty much application packed and also feature packed with hardware. So it doesn't stop here. You have the application, you have the drivers and utilities, of course, and more drivers and utilities on the other side, including, of course, as I mentioned, the command center, which is an essential overclocking and monitoring tool that is made by MSI specifically for their mainboards. I'm going to put all these items away now, a whole bunch of them, and we're going to take a closer look at the MSI MPOWER mainboard here. I really can't wait to dig in there and take a look at what we can find underneath this. Alright, here we have the MPOWER MAX with the outer packaging, and initially I thought that it was wider than the standard ETX, but after taking out my ruler here, it actually is standard 9.6 inches in length. So it would fit in a regular mid-tower case. And also, one thing I noticed, of course, is the very unique heatsink design here. Underneath that, you have the MSI patented Superpipe heatsink, and this design is not your typical airflow design, and in fact this will inhibit airflow because of the just the sheer block size of it. This is essentially designed so that it is for low airflow environments, and the MPOWER is basically for LN2 overclockers and for those who are running water cooling. So you just have your block in there, and if you notice that there are those surface mount capacitors, and instead of using the standard solid capacitors, they use those around the CPU area, what they call high C caps. These are actually high conductive polymerized capacitors, and they are essentially you can notice that they provide plenty of clearance in there and no clearance issues with heat sinks in the area, and they can mount a lot of those near the CPU without compromising the clearance. Now, let me just to the side so you can see that there is a little bit of gap there, but it doesn't completely penetrate in terms of airflow. So if you're running an air cooler, of course you can get trapped in the area unless you have a sort of a self-contained liquid cooling solution, but I suggest not blowing the air inside, especially in this area right here. And you have actually a massive VRM circuitry here. You have, of course, there's already integrated VRM on the Haswell chips. That's a new feature with the new Intel Haswell chips, but that doesn't mean that the mainboard doesn't have to have one. Of course, it needs some of that to, of course, provide stability for the voltage. You have, let's see, a 12 by 8 design here. It's quite massive. Of course, using also the superferrite chokes that MSI has used before. These are part of their military class 4 implementation. These provide essentially a 10% higher power efficiency and better overclocking overall stability. And we mentioned the high C caps, and also the other capacitors they got here. These are lower profile ones. These are essentially the dark capacitors, as MSI calls them. If you notice that they're not as tall, and also they look very cool, and it matches the color scheme of things. All solid Japanese capacitors. And start with the rest of the layout here, all the features we can find. Of course, with the socket 1150, we have the loads cover here. I actually like these ones because I don't know if you had installed an LG1155 motherboard before, but their cover essentially is that you have to remove it before popping the mainboard. This one, you can actually just pop in your CPU down inside and then just close it on top of it, and it will pop out automatically. So I love that. I know, can't remember who was the first one to implement these covers. I think EVGA was the first one that I saw that used these covers. Looks pretty cool. Now I think every single manufacturer has them for their LG1150 line. You have also, if you notice, that there are the matching holes there, so it still can fit a standard backplate in case you're not running any special cooling for this one. And you have the top. Start with the pair of 8-pin EPS 12-volt connectors. This is you would plug it on the first one if you're just running one. You have the J-Power 2 and J-Power 3. Every single port is actually clearly labeled, so it's quite convenient. There's also more jumpers here. You have your CPU fan connector right there, and then optional CPU fan connector. These are both 4-pin PWM connectors, and of course you have the DIMM slots here that essentially can support up to DDR3 3000 megahertz in OC. You have the voltage checkpoints, or V checkpoints. Each are clearly labeled, and I showed you the accessory earlier where you can put in the extender in there just in case you don't have enough room in your test bench, and you could connect those in there. And you have your 24-pin power cable, and you get a pair of USB 3.0 ports here. One is angled and one is straight up. Of course, the angled one is angled so because if you notice, the PCI-E X16 slot will overhang there. If you install a tall graphics card, or a long graphics card rather, it will overhang there. So that's why they have angled it. Now, according to the manual, at least, that these two are powered through the Intel chipset here, the PCI chipset. You can have up to 6 USB 3.0 ports from the Intel PCH. So that's where those are from. You have also 8 SATA ports down here, Just angle it for you so you can see. They're not colored any differently. They're all black, although this one right here is actually different. It's using an ASMedia chip, since you have a limitation of 6 SATA ports from the Intel port. And also the if you notice this red sign here, it says SATA port 5 will be disabled when the MSATA slot is in use. So the bottom part, I like that they indicate that it is also in a graphical form, so that people are not confused. I've seen motherboards before where they just mention which SATA number port is disabled, and people do not know whether it's the top or the bottom. So this way it just shows you that it is the bottom part that will be disabled when you use the MSATA port right here in the middle. So you should notice that very convenient placing right in between the two PCI-E X16 slots and right in front of the PCI-E X1 slots. Very smart use of space down there. Also, heatsink right here for the PCH with the MSI logo. This actually lights up. It's a yellow LED. And it's a textured surface here. And while this yellow surface is more sort of a... It's similar to the Dragon heatsink on the gaming line they got. Essentially, it is put on top of it as a design. Looks very cool. You can easily mod this out. There's some screws here on the side. You can remove it, maybe customize your different color, or kind of carve it out and put in your own custom design. Also, continue on here at the bottom. See if I missed any headers here. There's a fan header there. You have also a see here at the bottom. What we got here, you have a dual BIOS switch. You guys see the dual BIOS right beside each other. Let me just show you there. I know people have requested for me to pull back the camera. I usually like putting the camera closer so you can see it, but you can probably see it there anyway. See the BIOS toggle switch there in left and right position, so you can switch it between two BIOSes. If you are overclocking, you have, of course, the fast boot for the BIOS, direct boot. Of course, most of us use SSDs now. It takes essentially a few seconds to boot to Windows, and most people do not want to hammer their delete key or F2 key on the keyboard. So this is a convenient way of just pressing that, and you will boot immediately to the BIOS instead of or rather to the UEFI, rather than hammering your delete key. Also, a debug LED. This looks smaller than most debug LEDs, which is convenient because there's pretty much packed here on this main board here. So a little bit smaller LED, still readable, and you have a debug LED. Although if you notice that it will be blocked if you put something here on the third slot. Although to be realistic, nobody really overclocks with 3 video cards populated. In fact, a lot of extreme overclockers will overclock with only 1 card, and they prefer like maybe a PCI card, something low powered than that. And you have also a USB port here that's colored red. It's actually the fast charging USB port. You have a USB port as well, USB 2.0 port. And let's see here, what else am I missing? You have the front panel connectors, GFP 2 and JFP1. These actually are labeled there as well. So even if you don't use the connectors shortcut, I think MSI still calls M connectors. You can actually just plug it onto those directly using the guide and the label. And of course, more fan headers. System fan here is at the bottom. They're both 4 PWMs. You have these onboard buttons. You have the OC Genie. Most people who are familiar with MSI mainboards understand what that is. It's actually a smart auto overclocking tool. And you have the OC switch to switch between gear 1 and gear 2 of that OC Genie. You have the power on button, a reset button, and these are essentially the base clock adjustments, plus and minus buttons that you can do it on the fly on your main board when it is on your test bench. And that's very convenient because some people don't want to enter the BIOS, so you can also, that's also one way of MSI showing that you can overclock in various ways. You can do it in the BIOS, you can do it in the UEFI, you can do it in the desktop, and also on board end through their command center, which their wireless command center, which you can use as an app. And of course, you can notice that these will light up an LED color when they. This is blue. I believe the rest are yellow or green, and then the OC switch, when triggered, will turn red. So you can see that it is enabled depending on the gear level down there. And front panel audio, see there, and you have also right here is inside. You have the audio boost cover there. This actually, I believe it is an ALC1150 because that's what they use for the G45. Sort of a high-end. Let me verify here quickly because I didn't check the manual for this, but essentially it is a high-end codec from Realtek. Let me just remove that for you. And let me take a closer look. It is ALC1150, so definitely it is shielded to prevent interference, and also has amplifier for audio for your headphone. And let me just put this back, and I can show you. If you look closely there, there is a line tracing there, separating the, sort of isolating the audio PCB area. See all the capacitors near this PCB area when it's isolated, that are in the isolated area, all work for the this audio chip right here, audio codec, instead of as part of the mainboard. So there's no interference. They're both separate electrically in their design. Also, I will show you that from this angle I can see that the connectors are gold plated. Closely there. All the audio connectors are gold plated, so it ensures the high fidelity audio. You have also the killer Ethernet LAN. This is killer E2205, I believe, similar to the G45 and G65 gaming line that they've recently released for the Z87, and of course the Z85, and this is with the op amps I mentioned earlier. And also, I think I didn't mention the PCI slots here. You get, of course, PCI-E X16 running from the CPU. Second one is 8X when something is plugged into the first one. So that's 8X when you're running 2-way SLI, 2-way CrossFireX. And the last one is X4, but you cannot run SLI in X4, so it will be only CrossFireX and triple CrossFireX. I know it's possible. I can't remember exactly. I haven't done that myself, but as far as I know, CrossFireX is compatible with X4. But definitely, SLI is not an X4 mode, so only 2-way SLI in this case. But you still have double spacing, triple slot spacing there, with plenty of PCI-E X1 connectors to use. Even if you can't use that, unless you have a video card there, if you have SLI, you can use the one in the bottom. You can use the one on top. Now here, if you look closely, that the topmost PCI-E X1 is sitting directly underneath that. So if you have a PCI-E X1 device sitting on top, that sort of a little bit taller in the back, it could hit that area because the clearance is really tight. It's about a millimeter, so that might be an issue for some people. But again, there's plenty of PCI-E X1 slot options here, and most people will probably will have other options to move it on to here. And let's resume here. Let's see any more connectors here for the fans. Let's try to take a tally. You have 1, 2 for the CPU. For the system, 1, 2, and 3 so far. It says here system fan. Okay, this system fan 3. So 3 fan system there. And then let's move here to the back. Showed you part of the rear again. Just take it there for Lucid Virtu. Unless you want to use that. And you get 4 display outputs. So these are covered. You get a pair of HDMI cables, HDMI connectors, full-size HDMI connectors with a DisplayPort connector right at the bottom, and of course the optical audio out. And all the blue connectors that you see there are, of course, the USB 3.0 headers. Now, interesting thing is that these are at least from the manual, powered by ASMedia 1072, I believe, and this USB 3 port here is by a Renesas chip controller. Instead of they actually have a pair of extra USB 3 that you can use by Intel, but I think I don't know why they went with that. At least that's what the manual states. So I'm going to go through that when I start testing. See through this on the ASMedia chip there, and this is where you will put the Wi-Fi Bluetooth module. It is actually, as I mentioned, Intel Centrino 2230 Wi-Fi Bluetooth. You have the CMOS reset, very cool looking button. It's not a standard button, it actually lights up. When you press it, you have this yellow connector right here is the RJ45 cable. I showed you the killer Ethernet chip right there earlier. And lastly, we have a USB 2.0 port, paired USB 2.0 port, and the PS2 port if you are a legacy user like me. And that is pretty much it for the overview of the MSI MPOWER MAX mainboard. Alright, I just flipped it over here to back just to show you guys that all the heat sinks are screwed in. And you can see the serial number here in the back. Of course, you need that when you need to RMA. Also, to show you, the back plate is completely clearance free there. For those who are having problems with especially the Asetek back plates for clearance issues, you can see that it is completely clearance free, with only exception to see just one minor surface capacitor down there. And that's pretty much it for the overview of the MSI MPOWER MAX mainboard. What I'm going to do now is, of course, put in my new Haswell LJ1150 4770K processor, and then benchmark it and see how well it performs.